श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। आनंद मानंद कर प्रसन्नम प्रेम स्वरूपम ब्रज भाव युक्तम योगीन्द्र मीड्यम भवरोग वैद्यम गुरुं कृपालुं प्रणमामि नित्यम्। अहो बकीयं स्तनकालकूटम् जिघांसयापाययदप्यसाध्वी लेभे गतिन्धा त्रुचितां ततोऽन्यम् कं वा दयालुं शरणं व्रजेम। नमः कमलनाभाय नमः कमलमालिने नमः कमलपादाय नमस्ते कमलेक्षण यो ब्रह्माणं विदधाति पूर्वं यो वै वेदांश्च प्रहिणोति तस्मै तग्वंहा देवमात्मबुद्धिप्रकाशं मुमुक्षुर्वै शरणमहं प्रपद्ये। Devotees of Sri Radha Krishna, let's chant from page 147 in prayer book number 2, top of the page, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. A humble request, if you have your phone with you, please make sure it will not ring during this hour. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल मन हरि हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल मन हरि हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल बोल ले ले हरि मोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल बोल ले हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल बोल हीरा अनमोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल बोल हीरा अनमोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल तेरा क्या लागे मोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल तेरा क्या लागे मोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल में श्याम रस घोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल में श्याम रस घोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल में श्याम रस घोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल में श्याम रस घोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल में गौर रस घोल, हरि बोल में गौर रस घोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल में गौर रस घोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल में युगल रस घोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल में युगल रस घोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल में प्रेम रस घोल, हरि बोल में प्रेम रस घोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल में प्रेम रस घोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल सुने हरि कान खोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल सुने हरि कान खोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल सुने हरि कान खोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल सुने हरि कान खोल, हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल।
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल,
हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल,
हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल।
वृंदावन बिहारी लाल की जय। श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय। Devotional listeners, now I humbly request your full attention as I speak about the most important topic of Roop Dhyan, loving meditation on Sri Radha Krishna. All scriptures proclaim that meditation is the very life of devotional practice. Alodya sarva shastrani vicharya cha punah punah idamekam sunishpannam dhyeyo narayano harihi. Vedavyasji says in Skanda Puran, O humans, I have churned the scriptures in my mind, punah punah, again and again. And the essence of all the scriptures is this: meditate lovingly on the Supreme Lord. Meditate lovingly on Bhagavan. That is what all the scriptures are saying. That is the gist of all the scriptures. This is what all the scriptures are saying. There is nothing that is more important in any scripture. This is Bhagwan Vedavyas talking. He is the authority. In the Gita, Bhagwan Shri Krishna says, Ananya chetaha satatam yo mam smarati nityashah tasyaham sulabha partha nityayuktasya yoginah. And also, Ananyashchintayanto mam ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam yogakshemam vahamyaham. I assume full responsibility of the one who loves me wholeheartedly and surrenders to me exclusively. Bhagwan Shri Krishna says this. The one who loves me wholeheartedly and surrenders to me exclusively, I protect him. I give him what he needs and I protect what he already has in his possession, which is called Yogakshem Vahan Karna. Assuming full responsibility of the one who meditates lovingly on me. Nityashaha, continuously. In the Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna says, think of me any which way. Tasmat kenapyupayena manah Krishne niveshayet. God has given us such concessions that He says, think of me any which way. Because we think, how can I meditate on God? How can I visualize Bhagwan Shri Krishna? I don't know what He looks like. Whenever He descends to earth, we see Him with our material eyes and He seems like an ordinary person, or even someone who's less than ordinary. So I don't know what He looks like. How do I meditate on God? Shri Krishna says, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter how you think of me, I will appear before you in my divine form. You just make the effort. God has not told us, He doesn't say that, look, this is the only way that I look, this is the way I look, and this is how you must meditate on me. Then we would have no hope because we don't know what He looks like. We cannot think of Him using our material mind. Yato vacho nivartante aprapya manasa saha. Our mind, as far as the mind goes, it can only go as far as the material world is concerned. We cannot think about what the divine world must look like. Because nothing about us is divine. Yes, the soul is divine. It is a divine fraction of God. But our mind is not divine. It is material. It is controlled by Maya. It's made by Maya. Our intellect, same thing. When it's thinking and desiring, it's called the mind. When it's deciding, it's called the buddhi or intellect. So our senses, our mind, and our intellect are all material. We cannot think about what God must look like. But God says, Yad dullabham yadaprapyam manaso yanna gocharam tadapya prarthito dhyato dadati madhusudanaha. Garuda Puran. If you think of me lovingly, then I will give you all that is very rarely attained. Rare gifts I will give you. I will give you even the gifts that are impossible to attain. Why, I will give you gifts that you can't even think about. Manaso yanna gocharam. Your mind cannot even think about those gifts. Those are the gifts I will give you if you think about me lovingly. But how do I think of him? I don't know what he looks like. We think that it's very easy to meditate on a loved one, mother, father, spouse, child, our loved ones. We would think that it's very easy to think about them, to do Rup Dhyan on them, to meditate on them, to visualize them. And it's very difficult, if not impossible, to meditate on Sri Krishna. But actually it's the opposite. Jagat Guru Uttam Sri Kripaluji Maharaj says it is actually the opposite. It's impossible for you to think about what your loved one looks like exactly. You will have to think about him, you will have to visualize him exactly. Let's say you're visualizing your father. You're doing Rup Dhyan of your father. Now, what is the exact shade of the exact color of his eyes? The exact shade. They're brown, but what is the exact shade of brown? I don't know. What do his ears look like exactly? I never paid attention to them. So if we say, I'm thinking about my loved one, we actually are not able to think about our loved ones as they are. We are not able to do Rup Dhyan of our loved ones. But Sri Krishna says there's no problem in doing Rup Dhyan, in visualizing me, because I haven't said to you that there's only one way that I look. I give you the freedom to think of me any which way. So then there's no problem. Yena kena prakarena manah krishne niveshayet bhakti rasamrit sindhu. The verse from the Bhagavatam and the verse from Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, they sound alike and they mean exactly the same. Yena kena prakarena, jaise taise karo, lekin mera dhyan karo. In other words, Sri Krishna gives us the freedom to think of him as we like. And we should not think that, oh, there's a great artist and the way that she visualized Sri Krishna is so beautiful. And when Sri Krishna stands before her, then he will be more beautiful. And when I try to draw Lord Krishna, I just come up with a stick figure. So when Sri Krishna comes before me, he will not be so beautiful. No. Sri Krishna says, think of me according to your capacity. The only thing that Sri Krishna looks at, only thing that God and Guru look at is our effort. We must always keep that in mind. Sri Maharaj always praised effort. He didn't praise the end result. He always praised the effort. He works so hard. She tries so diligently. He would always say that. That's how he would praise someone. He wouldn't say that, oh, that one succeeded very, very nicely. No, that one makes really strong, very great efforts. So we must make the effort, and as you know, Jo tu dhave ek pag to main dhaun saath. The Supreme Lord promises us that for every baby step we take towards him, he will run 60 steps to meet us. He gives us so much reward for even a little bit of effort. effort we must make in doing Roop Dhyan. Roop meaning form, Dhyan is meditation. So when we meditate, we're not meditating on nothingness. How do you meditate on nothing? We can't. We're not meditating on the third eye. There's no nectar in that, there's no sweetness in that. We're not meditating on the breath. As we breathe in, as we breathe out, we're not meditating on that. We're not meditating on the flame of a candle. We're going to meditate on the Supreme Lord, who descends to earth from time to time. For many reasons, and the most important reason is so that we may fall in love with Him. When He comes to this world, He performs many leelas or pastimes. And those pastimes get recorded in scriptures such as the Bhagavatam. And then we read these scriptures and we find out about Sri Krishna's pastimes. We find out about His mischievous nature. We find out about His playful nature, about His loving ways. We find out how loving He is. And we fall in love with Him. So we meditate on Sri Krishna and His pastimes. And everyone who's doing Roop Dhyan of Sri Krishna is doing it differently. Because everybody's mind thinks differently. Munde munde matir bhinna tunde tunde saraswati. Everyone thinks differently. Everyone is an individual. Even in one family, let's say there are 3 siblings, 3 children of the same mother, same father. And they're so different from one another. They may look totally different. Strangers cannot even tell that these are 3 siblings. And then their habits are very different. Their choices are extremely different from one another. Because one has come from some place. Who knows what he was in his last life? Who knows where she was in her previous life, what she was doing? Who knows what these 3 siblings, where they were? Now they've ended up in one family, but although they grew up in the same environment, there is so much difference. We ask, why is there so much difference? Why is one a strong believer in God and one is an atheist? And one says, I'm not sure if there's a God. One's an agnostic, one's an atheist, one's a believer. Because they've come from different places. Who knows where they were in their previous lives, what kind of families they had. So they've brought their sanskars with them. Sanskars meaning the subtle impressions left on the mind by the actions that we have performed. In other words, by the thoughts we have had in our previous lives. So all 3 of them have come from 3 different places. They brought their different sanskars with them, and they are so different from one another. One loves the color blue, the other says, oh, I hate the color blue. What color do you like? I like red. Another one says, my favorite color is pink. One loves South Indian cooking. Another says, oh, I like continental cooking. I like continental dishes. Another one says, I like Oriental dishes. And the mother says, well, just eat what I've given you because I'm not running a restaurant. I cannot be making different dishes for all of you. But they're such individuals. So how can it be that everybody's Roop Dhyan is the same? Everyone is thinking about Sri Krishna differently. So we must not think that we don't know, I don't know what he looks like, how can I do Roop Dhyan? And I have not conjured up a very beautiful image of Sri Krishna, so I will miss out. It's not like that. We are given complete freedom to think about Bhagavan Sri Krishna as we like. There's this beautiful image of Sri Krishna, but is this what he looks like? This is what the Shilpikar, what the artist thought that Sri Krishna looks like when he created this out of a stone, out of marble. And we have put our godly feelings in these murtis, in these images. So for us, this is God. What if you think that Sri Krishna looks another way? I'm sure you do. Sometimes you see a murti of God and you think, I'm not so attracted to this. Because you're not. So will you think about that murti? You don't want to think about that murti because you want to conjure up another image. So it's very important to have certain pictures, some pictures or some murti that you really like, and you can base your Rup Dhyan on that. You're not going to stare at that picture, you're not going to stare at the image of murti, the idol of Lord Krishna, but you're going to use it as a basis for your Rup Dhyan. We close our eyes, and before closing our eyes, we look at Sri Krishna's image and we say, Sri Krishna, please come into my heart. And then we close our eyes and we have captured him in our heart. And then we do Rup Dhyan. We think about what he must be doing. We think about various scenarios. Krishna, Radha and Krishna are with the gopis and the Gwalbal, the cowherders, the cowherds. They are playing Holi, the festival of colors in Braj. It's played very enthusiastically, it's celebrated very enthusiastically. So you're visualizing Radha and Krishna and their devotees, throwing colors on one another. Dry color is there, liquid color is there, the pichkaris, the water guns, for lack of a better word, that you have filled with colored water. They are splashing water on one another. There's water balloons. You can think of something like this. You can think about Radha and Krishna alone. You can think about Radharani and the gopis. There's so many scenarios. But you know, I thought of a Leela that I don't know if it's allowed, if I'm allowed to think of that. What is that? Well, I was just thinking that Radha and Krishna go to the Great Wall of China and they're walking on it. I don't think they've ever done that. But of course they have, and if they haven't, they will do it. But you know what the scriptures say. Hari Ananta, Hari Katha Ananta. Countless are his pastimes. You cannot count his pastimes. They are unlimited. So, has Sri Krishna never gone to the Great Wall of China? He's already there. He is in every particle of creation. There is no Leela, no pastime that you and I can think of that he has not performed already. And even if you say he has not performed it, well, he'll perform it then, just for you. We are attracted in so many different ways. Which Leela, which pastime of his is attractive to you? Don't look anywhere else. Don't look at anyone. Don't look at your neighbor. Don't look at your brother or sister, or your fellow satsangi. How do you, what exactly are you doing in your Rup Dhyan? You don't have to ask anyone. Your mind will dictate that. You can dress him as you like in your Rup Dhyan. You can dress him according to the seasons. Some people, when they have murtis, they have images of Sri Krishna, they will dress him up. Recently, well, we had dressed them up with the capes. They were warm because it was Christmas and it was Christmassy, so we had Radha and Krishna in capes. We will not do it here, but sometimes people, they have very open-minded people, people who have devotees who have heard the philosophy of a true guru. They will, in their own home, they might put, in the summertime, they might put shorts on Krishna. A lot of people would say, that is shameful. It's not. As Sri Maharaji used to say, if Lord Krishna comes to the world today and he is born in your family, how will you dress him? How will you dress him in the summer? And how will you, would you put pitambar on him? Will you dress him like that, wearing a dhoti and he goes out like that, wearing a tilak and so on and so forth, kids will not identify with him. Nobody will identify with him. Who is this? Why does this child look like this? So you will dress him up as everyone is dressing up their children. So there is nothing wrong with dressing him up as you like. If you say, no, I don't want to put shorts on my Krishna at home, fine, in your mind you can do that. I don't want to even do that. That's fine. Dress him up traditionally if that is your preference. But as I said, everyone is different. And there'll be a lot of people who would be charmed by the fact that he can wear anything. He can wear, he can be dressed in the Western style of dressing, or he could be in the Eastern style of dressing. Even within India, there is Gujarati style, there's North Indian style, there's South Indian style, there's Punjabi style, there's so many. Every region in India has its own way of dressing. Every region in India has its own particular food. So you can feed him the food of your choice in your Roop Dhyan. Roop Dhyan is a lot of fun. Roop Dhyan is very, very enjoyable. Because we're using our imagination and we're just letting it go free. The only rule is that we must not think him to be an ordinary person. We must know that this is God we are meditating upon. He is God, but he is so compassionate that he comes down to earth so that we may interact with him, so that we may love him, so that we may think of him not only as God, but as our loving Lord and Master, as our loving friend, as our child, and most of all, above all, our beloved. The more we do Roop Dhyan, the more Shri Krishna fills our mind with Swarup Shakti, his divine power. So as he fills the mind with Swarup Shakti, the material tendencies of the mind become less and less. They decrease. And divinity enters little by little, depending on our effort, depending on how much effort we make. Divinity is increasing and worldliness is decreasing. All we have to do is to do Roop Dhyan. God and Guru take care of the rest. Vedanta philosophy, Brahma Sutras, they tell us, they give us certain hints as we do Roop Dhyan. One is Asinah Sambhavat. When you do Roop Dhyan, in the beginning, when you do Roop Dhyan, you should be sitting. You should be sitting down. If you are working side by side, then you will neither be able to do Roop Dhyan, nor will your work be done properly. You cannot be doing two things at once in the beginning. But with practice, you'll come to a point where Raja Dashrath, King Janak, they were doing Roop Dhyan on God all the time while running a kingdom. King Dashrath was running a kingdom, but at all times he was thinking about God. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. As Bhagwan Shri Krishna says to Arjun in the Gita, think of me at all times while doing your duty. And his duty was to fight that lawful battle, which we know as the Battle of Mahabharat. So when we become experts in doing Roop Dhyan, we will be able to do different kinds of works that we are supposed to do during the day and do Roop Dhyan at the same time. But in the beginning, we should be sitting down and not be distracted by any chore, any gadget, or any person. We need to focus on God and Guru. That's it. Asinah Sambhavat, Brahma Sutra. Achalatvam chapekshya. You should not be moving around when you do Roop Dhyan, and your eyes should be closed. So you should be sitting down, and yes, by the way, with the straight back. Sitting with the straight back is it's recommended, because otherwise when we slouch, our mind becomes careless. So we should be sitting with the straight back. We should be not moving, and we should keep our eyes closed, because if you're doing Rup Dhyan, you're sitting down to do Rup Dhyan, you have taken out half an hour, let's say, out of your busy schedule, early in the morning, preferably, you have taken out half an hour, now you're going to do Rup Dhyan. So you sit down and you do Rup Dhyan, but to do that, you should sit down with a straight back, you should close your eyes, because if you see objects or people in front of you, our mind is very worldly, it's very attracted towards the world. Parancha khani vyatrinat swayam bhuhu. Brahmaji has made our sense organs face towards the outside world. So when we see the world, when we hear the world, when we taste, touch and smell the world, our mind desires the world. So we should keep our eyes closed. But with practice, we do become better. And one day we become experts in Rup Dhyan. Then we could be walking around and doing Rup Dhyan. We could be laying down, doing Rup Dhyan. We could be slouching and doing Rup Dhyan. We would be doing Rup Dhyan all the time in any place. And we should not worry about what kind of place we are sitting in. A lot of people who are very ritualistic, they think a lot about which direction they're sitting in, which place they're sitting at. We should not worry about that. Because remember, we are following the path of Raganuga devotion, Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti is devotion that is spontaneous. This love for God is not dictated by scriptures. It's not driven by fear of scriptures, that if you don't do devotion to Sri Krishna, you'll be put in hell after death. Raganuga Bhakti is not driven by fear. Or it's not driven by some greed that if you do bhakti, then God will put you in such wonderful Swargalok. We don't care about that. It's not driven by greed or fear. It is a natural love for God. I want to love Sri Krishna because He's my one and only. He is everything to me, so why wouldn't I want to love Him? And just like a mother loves her child all the time, we must love Sri Krishna all the time. The mother does not necessarily take a shower or a bath and then she says, now I can love my child. She loves the child all the time. She has not taken a bath, she has not brushed her teeth, her hair is all messy, but she loves her child all the time, everywhere. And this is how we must love Sri Krishna, all the time, everywhere. And because He is everywhere, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, He's omnipresent, therefore we can sit down anywhere to practice this Rup Dhyan. But of course, logic tells us that we should be sitting in a place where we can find some peace and quiet. You would not want to try to practice Rup Dhyan in the busy marketplace and you sit down somewhere. People will trample all over you. There's too much sound. We don't have that ekagrata, we don't have that focus yet. It will come, but with diligent practice. So the Brahma Sutras give us some hints. Asina sambhavat, achalatvam chapeksha, dhyanach. Before you start singing the glory of God, singing the songs of His glory, think about Him, do Rup Dhyan. And yatra ekagrata tatra visheshat. This is a Brahma Sutra that says, wherever you find a place which is conducive to devotion in your house, sit down there and practice devotion. So God has made it very easy for us to do Rup Dhyan. And scriptures have told us, and saints have told us, they who have darshan of Sri Krishna at all times, they're seeing Him everywhere in the world, they have told us what He looks like. For instance, scriptures tell us that Sri Krishna, Nandanandan, has a round face. There you go. If you're wondering what kind of shape is his, what kind of face does he have? Is it round? Is it more thin and long? What is it? Scriptures say it's round. Does it mean that you have to think of him to having a round face? No. But scriptures say that. He has curly black hair, jet black, shiny, very soft hair. His eyes, as Adi Shankaracharya has said, Akarna Purna Netram. You know that prayer, Yamuna Nikat. Akarna Purna Netram. His eyes extend to his ears. They're so long eyes. And they're filled with sweetness, filled with nectar. His forehead is very majestic. And then they tell us about various ornaments that he's wearing, so that we have some help in trying to do Rup Dhyan. But we're not confined to only that kind of Rup Dhyan. This is just to give us some help in case we're asking, how do I do Rup Dhyan on him? The main thing is that the feelings in the heart should be loving feelings. I love him and I wish to see him. I'm going to visualize him. This is what he's doing. And then you're praying to him, please, come out of this murti and allow me to have your darshan. When I see you over here, I just see a murti. I see an idol. But I know you are inside this. Please come outside and give me darshan. Darshan dena nanda dulare, nanda nandan nainan ke tare. Give me darshan, O Nanda Nandan. When doing Rup Dhyan, tears will come into the eyes. Do not think, why these tears? Am I depressed? These tears are pure tears in that they are being shed for God. You have to be very careful though. You're not thinking about some misery in your life and then you go before Sri Krishna and start crying and say, I cried for him, my heart is becoming purified. If we are crying for him, I want to see you. I want to hear the sound of your flute. I have heard that no one can resist that sound. When the gopis, 5,000 years ago, when they heard the sound of your flute, they left everything they were doing. No matter what they were doing, they just left it and they ran in the direction where the sound was coming from. I too wish to hear the sound of your flute. I want to behold that beautiful, divinely beautiful face. I wish to serve you. I wish to feed you with my own hands. Our Rup Dhyan must be done very lovingly. Love is something that God is in love with. He is in love with love. The world says, do your duty towards me. Shri Krishna says, don't do your duty. Don't just go, okay, I've lit the diya, I put it over there, and I've taken the arti thali, I've decorated it, and I go like this. Arti Pritam Pyari Ki, okay, I'm done with that. I'm done with devotion. I've done my duty. And then I shall do it again tomorrow. That's my duty. No, Shri Krishna said, don't do your duty towards me. Give me your love. The world wants you to do duty, but I want your love. So this is what we should do. Our Rup Dhyan should be filled with love and with the feeling of service. I want to serve him. And there is so much freedom that a story that Sri Maharaji told us comes to mind. Sri Maharaji, during the time when he was in the very untamed jungles of Chitrakoot, he saw a holy man there who had matted locks, and he had a cracked mirror in his hand and a broken comb, a comb with many missing teeth in his other hand. And he would try to comb his hair, look at his face in the mirror, and then he would say, "Oh, my beloved Shyam Sundar, where are you?" And he would fall down unconscious. Then he would regain consciousness and he would do it all over again. He would comb his hair. Sri Maharaji was very young at the time. He was just a teenager. And he asked, Babaji, what are you doing? And the holy man said, I am getting ready to meet my beloved. I am trying to look beautiful for my beloved. You see, he is my Priyatam, and he may come to me any moment. And what would he think of me? What would he think if I were to have disheveled hair? So I am trying to comb my hair so that I may look beautiful in my beloved's eyes. Sri Maharaji says, is there any heart that would not melt hearing these words? That this devotee of God is using a cracked mirror that he found somewhere and a comb with missing teeth, and that's how he does sadhana. That's how he's doing Roop Dhyan. He doesn't have any, he's not living in a, he doesn't live in a house, he doesn't have a home, he doesn't have fancy clothes, he doesn't have anything. He's just living in the jungles, eating fruits from berries from the trees. He's living such a simple life, and this is how he's doing Roop Dhyan. So we are free to think any which way. Complete freedom is given to us in Roop Dhyan. We should call out to him, oh my beloved, I want to serve you, I want to see you. And sometimes, because the mind wants variety, so sometimes you'll want to think of him as your friend. Then you call him Sakhe, oh friend of mine. Sometimes you want to go into Vatsalya Bhav and he is your child, and you'll want to love him and serve him as a mother loves and serves her child. And always, always, always you're going to think of him as your master, because that is an underlying relationship in all the other relationships. If we get rid of the feeling that he's my master, I am his servant, then there's no devotion. As abhiman jai jani bhore, main sevak raghupati pati more. As Lakshmanji says to Bhagwan Sri Ram, may I always be proud of the fact that you are my master and I am your humble servant. So we wish to serve him, and to serve him the best, we have to go into the lover-beloved relationship, Madhurya Bhav. He's my beloved, he's my Priyatam, I am his Preyasi. This holy man that I was referring to, that Sri Maharaji tells the story of, he's obviously, he's a male, but he thinks of himself as a female. He thinks, I am a 16-year-old gopi, and I want to look beautiful for my beloved. For a female, it's easy to think that because she is a female. For a male, it's a little tougher, but to love him as the beloved, you must think yourself to be a female, a 16-year-old beautiful female, a gopi, with Shamsundar as your beloved, Priyatam. No matter which feeling, which sentiment you have, no matter which relationship you are in at that point, tears must be shed. Tears will cleanse the heart. They will purify the heart like nothing else. And tears are a gift that is preferred by Sri Krishna. To each their own. Some people, if you ask them, what would you like as a gift? They would say a box of chocolates. Another would say, I would like a tie. I don't have a tie. I would like a tie. I would like a piece of jewelry. We asked Sri Krishna, what kind of gift do you like? Ansu. Tears. Sri Maharaji has composed a lot of poetry, and we've been listening to that every evening. And Sri Maharaji has said, Darde dil kitna pasand aaya use. Darde dil kitna pasand aaya use. Maine jab ki ah, usne vaah ki. When someone sighs for Sri Krishna, oh my beloved, ha Sham Sundar, and then cries for him, Sri Krishna loves that. He says, "Wow, how wonderful, how great it is that you are crying for me, that you are wanting to see me, and you are pining for me, you're longing for me." Tears are the gift that he loves the most. So we should give those tears. Sri Maharaj Ji says, "In apanapan rakhna mere ghanshyam." Right? I will present to you a garland of tears. A garland. Te uphar हार असुवन को बना लूं तुझे अपना मेरे घनश्याम. I shall present to you a garland of tears, and by giving you this gift that you love so much, I shall make you my own. Tears are pouring forth from both eyes, and so there are two streams of tears. They come further and further down, and they go down to the chest, and there two streams meet, and it becomes a garland. And you give that garland, put it around Shri Krishna. This is the kind of garland you like. Tears will speed up our devotional progress. And in fact, if we are not shedding tears, we have not even stepped onto the path of devotion. We must not think that tears are only for those who are very advanced in devotion. A novice, someone who has just stepped onto the path of devotion, must start to shed tears, genuine tears. Tears of love, tears of longing, tears of separation. There are two kinds of Roop Dhyan that you'll be doing. One is Milan ka Roop Dhyan, the other is Virah ka Roop Dhyan. Sometimes you will think that Shri Krishna is right in front of me. Samne khade hain, he's standing in front of me. I can see him clearly. This is Milan. You are united with him, he is with you. And sometimes Virah ka Roop Dhyan, I cannot see him anywhere. He's not giving me darshan. Separation, you are separated from him. Sometimes union, sometimes separation. And the greatest Rasik saints have said, the Roop Dhyan of separation from him is even better than Roop Dhyan of union with him. Because when you are separated from him, then love grows to such an intensity that you will see him to be with you all the time, everywhere. Jit dekhun tit shammayi hai. The gopi says that, Jit dekhun tit shammayi hai. Wherever I look, I see Krishna. Jit dekhun tit shammayi hai, shammayi hai. Everywhere I look, I see him. Batan mein, ghatan mein, बीथिन में, बागन में, बेलिन में, बाटिका में, फूलन में, बन में, दरन में, दीवारिन में, देहरी, दरीचन में, हीरन में, हारन में, भूषण में, तन में, कानन में, कुंजन में, गोपिन में, गायन में, गोकुल में, गोधन में, दामिनी में, घन में, जहाँ जहाँ देखूँ तहाँ श्याम ही दिखाई दे. The gopi says, I see him everywhere. I see him inside the house, I see him outside. I see him in the forest, I see him near the river. I see him in the sky, I see him on the ground, I see him everywhere. This stage is a very high stage, and it has come about. The gopi has reached this place, this point, because she has done Roop Dhyan of separation from Shri Krishna. Virah ka Roop Dhyan. That is very important for us. But our mind is very mischievous, so it will want variety. Sometimes he's with us, sometimes we are separated from him. Both kinds of Roop Dhyan are extremely important. Sri Maharaj Ji has shared with us so much information about Roop Dhyan. I would like to recommend a very small little booklet. It's called Roop Dhyan, in Hindi as well as in English. It's a must-have. It is a must-have. It's so wonderful. In just a thin little booklet, Sri Maharaj Ji has given so much information about Roop Dhyan. Jagadguru Uttam Shri Kripaluji Maharaj has given us so many resources. All we need to do is to use them in our daily devotional practice, so that we may make rapid progress and reach our destination very quickly. बोलिए श्रीमद् सद्गुरु सरकार की जय, श्रीमद् युगल सरकार की जय। जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय श्री राधे, जय जय